Welcome lads and ladies to the pinnacle of Sorare clickbait content. That's right, this is clickbait, but it should be helpful clickbait because these tips should be useful for the newer managers out there to Sorare. Now a bit of background about me, I've been on Sorare for over a year and a half now, I've had a YouTube channel for about a year, and as you can see, I'm stunningly handsome, so you're in good hands everyone. Now this video is more to get the newer managers to Sorare to stop and think, oh shit, that's a good idea. And then they can take away anything they get from this video and expand it to fit their Sorare style. Or not, I don't fucking know. Either way, let's get to speedrunning through 100 tips for new Sorare managers. How to start! Tip 1. Get familiar with cryptocurrency. Sorare runs on Ethereum. You can deposit with debit and credit cards, but your bank might be dicks about it. So maybe get a crypto wallet. MetaMask and Coinbase wallet have served me well so far. And make sure you use a referral link when signing up. Don't care whose, can use mine if you want. Link down below. But both you and your referrer will get a free limited card after you buy 5 cards off the new auction market. And you know what they say, when life gives you lemons, take them. Because free shit is cool. Tip number 4, join the Sorare Discord to keep up with the latest Sorare news, and if you're the type of cunt who's really looking to get involved, join the Sorare Twitter community, definitely where a lot of the important stuff happens. Now you might be saying, Royalivi, that's all well and good, but how do I actually play Sorare? Well Craig, I'm glad you asked. How to play! There's 5 scarcities, common, limited, rare, super rare and unique. With your commons you can enter the casual and academy tournaments to get a feel for the game. Go to the play page, click register, select your team and confirm your lineup for the next So5 game week. You'll need 1 player per position, goalkeeper, defence, midfield and forward, with an extra slot available at the end for an additional outfield player. And then tip number 10, realise that playing only the casual and academy leagues with common cards is boring as shit and go out and buy some other cards. Now you might be asking, Royalivi, how do I buy cards on Sorare? Well Ryan, I'm glad you asked. How to market! The market on Sorare is split into 2 components, the new card auctions market and the manager sales market. The new card auctions market is where you can bid on brand new cards, and the manager sales market is where you can buy cards off of other managers. Now when buying from other managers, you can make trade offers with these fuckers. Just click on a cunt and select trade. On a manager's profile, you can also see if they have a linked Discord account where you can communicate on trades over DMs with them. But tip 16, don't be a dick making lowball offers. You will get blocked by other managers. In turn, if someone is being a dick by lowballing you, block them right back yourself, fuck them. Tip 18, watch out for scummy little fucks trying to mug you off in the offers. For example, with the decimal point scam, there's always going to be conniving little fucks out there, so be aware of all the scams by checking out my Sorare scams video that I made, link in the description down below, if I remember to put it there. Also be wary of trade offers containing players who have suffered long-term injuries or are linked with a move outside of an Opta-covered league. And finally, use this third-party app called Sorare Data. It's safe and is the most important tool you will need when maneuvering the market and scouting players. Scouting players? How to scout! You can view a player's latest selling price on their profile page on Sorare Data here. You can filter between different scarcity prices on Sorare Data here also. You can even then filter on which currency you prefer to use here as well. You can even then change your currency preferences back on Sorare in your account settings. Heading back to Sorare Data then, you can then view a player's So5 scoring history on this page, and you can scout more in depth on the player ranking tabs, filtering by league, price, all around score and so on. Now you might be asking, Royalivi, what the fuck is an all around score? Well Jason, I'm glad you fucking asked. How to score! All-around score is awarded based on Opta stats for a player during a match. A player is judged on defending, possession, passing, and attacking. This is called the scoring matrix, which you can check out how this works on this great thing called the internet. Link in the description for the scoring matrix down below. You know, if I remember to put it there. A player will start the game off with a decisive score of 35 if they start or 25 if they come off the bench. A player can then get additional points for a decisive action. This includes scoring a goal or getting an assist, making a goal line clearance, or for a goalkeeper, keeping a clean sheet. Players can then also get negative decisive actions. Ooh, they can get these for scoring own goals, getting sent off, or making an error leading to an opposition goal. Like this fucker did here for me. Prick. Tip 32, can't stress this enough, pre-assists do not count as a decisive. It's outrageous, I know, and you can check out my appeal to get them to count as decisives on this video I made, link in the description down below, if I remember to put it there. Now the most sought after players are going to be players who often contribute with decisives but are then also capable of hitting high all-around scores. An example of this type of player would be Hotter at Celtic, who is fucking expensive. So budgets accordingly. And tip 34, both the Sorare Play page and Sorare Data page will update your player scores live so you can see how you're doing during a game week. But you might be asking, Royalivi, I have my cards and I know how they score points, but what the fuck am I playing for? Well Stephen, I'm glad you asked. How to prize pool? You can see on the play page under the rewards column what is up for grabs, both in terms of Ethereum rewards and card rewards. Click on this to see further information behind the prize pools, including a breakdown of the reward distribution based on card tiers. You can then even click on a tier to see a breakdown of what cards each tier contains. Star tier will contain the best players in the game, such as Messi, Kimmich and Shiny Ashiki, whereas tier 3, for example, will contain the shitters who aren't very desirable. Tier 3 will often contain players who are also recently scoring as DMPs, which stands for Did Not Play. On that note, another acronym to look out for when selecting a lineup is NG, which stands for No Game, so you probably don't want to select these players if you want a chance of winning a decent reward. Now, the tournaments on offer are split between different categories and brackets and shit. You have All-Star, Champion, Challenger, America, Asia, Under 23, Great Age, and the Special Weeklies. The All-Star bracket can contain any card that is on SoRare in your teams. Champion can only contain players from any of the big 5 leagues in Europe. Was that a fucking voice crack? Maybe. Can I be fucked to edit it out? Absolutely not. Challenger can then contain any players playing in Europe from outside the top 5 leagues. America can then only contain players from the American continent, so that includes the MLS and the Liga da Brazil, for instance, if that's what the league is called. I don't fucking know. Asia can then only contain players from the Asian continent. Crazy, I know. Under 23 can then only contain players who are under the age of 23 up to the 1st of July each calendar year, and then the special weeklies have changing entry requirements each game week. Some examples include the Underdog Special Weekly, where your players can have a max SoFi score of 50 in their last 15 games, or the Over 32 Special Weekly, for instance, where only players 32 years or older can be entered. But which is the best bracket to play in? Honestly, I have no fucking clue. Historically, I've been quite shit at SoFi, and quite frankly, I have no right to be making this video, but here we are. Both our life decisions have led us to this moment, so let's revel in it. I would, however, strongly recommend entering All-Star Rare, as for 205 or 250 points in a given game week, you can win £20 or £40 as a threshold reward, respectively, which, you know, does add up over time and can strongly help improve your club in the long-term run. But you might be asking, Royalivi, what is the best strategy to hit the thresholds in All-Star Rare? Well, Rebecca, I'm glad you asked. That's right, I said Rebecca. Girls enjoy football too. How's a threshold? You need 5 rares to enter this bracket, which can be quite expensive when you factor in the price of a goalkeeper, as they are typically the most expensive cards to acquire. So if you are on a budget here, I recommend getting the cheapest rare goalkeeper you can possibly find, even if they are retired or a DMP, just so you have the facilities to enter each week. Again, if you're on a budget, I would recommend getting your keeper as a backup goalkeeper or a young goalkeeper. They'll be cheap, and eventually they may start getting game time for their club or another club a few years down the line, sort of killing 2 birds with 1 stone that way, although I certainly don't advocate for killing animals. It was a metaphor, alright guys, leave the birds alone. As for your other players, again, simply aiming at hitting the threshold, you're going to want to look for players that start every week for their club at affordable prices. Sounds like common sense, right? Well, it is. Tip 54, bonus points if you can grab players who score fairly decently in terms of all-around score with the occasional decisive or 2. Now, starting defenders can typically be picked up for quite cheap, so if on a budget, I would recommend having your extra spot be another defender, as they can still score quite highly for very affordable prices. Tip 56, try and cover your bases with the threshold teams that compete year-round. For example, an MLS threshold team for the summer months and a European threshold team for the winter months, as you want to be stacking that Ethereum up all year long. There's actually a SoRare calendar out there somewhere that denotes what leagues are playing at what times of the year. That is quite useful. Link in the description for that down below. I mean, you know, if I remember to put it there. And tip 58, pick wisely with your captain choice here as well, as they will score a 25% SoFi bonus on top of their actual score. But you might be asking, Royalivi, are there any other ways my player can get additional SoFi points? Well, Alexander, I'm glad you asked. Bonus, 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 bonus! Your players get bonus points based on their card XP, which is shown on their profile page. Cards from an active season will automatically get a 5% SoFi bonus. For example, my Driussi here has a 5% season bonus, whereas my Anton Walks here does not. You will also be able to differentiate between season cards just by looking at the card. Not only will the season designs be different, but on the top left of the card it is denoted what season the card is from. To gain additional XP bonuses for your cards, either use them in SoFi tournaments or enter them in training teams. You can enter as many training teams as you want for any game week, so make sure you put your spare players in, and definitely make sure you don't accidentally delete all of your training lineups before a game week begins, like I've done in the past. Oh, for fuck's sake! Tip 64, here on the screen is how training XP bonuses are calculated for your cards. I won't explain that too much here today, but I do have another video where I've explained training in slightly more detail. Link in the description for that one down below, you know, if I remember to blah blah blah. Now, this additional XP bonus can max out at 10% or level 20, but be careful. When buying and selling players, they will lose some of their XP when being traded between managers. Okay, that's bonuses done, and I'm only at 66 tips, so shit, I need to stretch this out to 100. How the fuck am I don't know. Achievements? You can win coins when you do shit on SoRare to buy banners and stuff. Okay, fuck it, let's go over some strategy advice. How to strategy. Make sure you stay up to date with team news. You don't want to put any injured or suspended players in your lineups. Again, Twitter can be a good source for this kind of shit. Transfermarks.com can be a good site for this also, as well as for scouting purposes such as viewing how much game time a player gets or how long their current contract lasts for. In terms of SO5, be wary of players on opposing teams playing each other in your lineup. For example, if your goalkeeper is playing against your attacker, you're likely to receive less SO5 points in a given game week, as if your attacker scores, your goalkeeper concedes, and if your goalkeeper keeps a clean sheet, it means your attacker wouldn't have scored or got an assist. And stacking a team can also be advisable. This is where you have all 5 players from one team. That way, if a team performs well and thrashes their opponent, in theory, all 5 players should score well in tandem with each other, leading to a high SO5 score, which equals cash money. In terms of the market, the best time to get optimum prices for your players is the 24 hours leading up to a game week, as managers will be looking to make emergency signings to fill out their SO5 teams, and in turn, the best time to buy players off the market is after the rewards are released, as there will be an influx of cards into the SORARE ecosystem that managers will be looking to offload. Looking at the overall best time to buy players throughout the year then, the cheapest time to buy players will be when their respective season is coming to a close. Player prices typically drop to their lowest going into this 3-month break, and they will rise in the build up to the start of the season. So look to build your teams as the seasons are ending if you have a bit of patience about you. Obviously, transfer news and player movements can affect your teams and player values in the off-season, so keep an eye on the latest news to ensure you aren't left holding the bag on a player who is set to decrease in value. And if you have the spare budget, speculate to accumulate. Those young future prospects can be great players to put any spare Ethereum into in the hopes of notching up a tidy profit down the line. For example, I bought this Carmen Harper here for under 0.01 Ethereum back when he wasn't playing for his team, and after just 1 or 2 games in the lineup, I managed to sell him for 0.125 Ethereum. So a massive profit on him there due to a little speculation on my part when I had a bit of spare Ethereum in the club. Now I will say, go into SORARE with a game plan. Define your goals and what leagues and brackets you want to compete in before going out and spending your money willy-nilly, and build your gallery around your aims. Just be smart about it and don't rush. So in terms of having a game plan on players you want to buy, I think it's important to go into any prospective trade with a price ceiling or a price floor. So the price ceiling would be the maximum you are willing to pay for a card, and the price floor the lowest you are willing to receive for a card that you are selling. So just have a rough ballpark in your head of these things and stick to your guns. Don't let people push you around in Discord DMs when making trade negotiations. Now this one isn't gospel or set in stone advice, but maybe avoid attacking fullbacks in your lineups. Think of your Trent Alexander-Arnold kind of players, but you know, the worst players for the worst team sort of thing. Although they are more likely to get those decisives, you can find they will often be penalised harshly in the scoring matrix for their attacking output. Tip 81, set piece takers can be big scorers on the matrix in terms of getting key passes from free kicks and corners. If a teammate gets on the end of the ball from one of these set pieces, that can often be classed as a key pass right there by Opta. And now that I've mentioned Opta, also be aware that they can adjust the stats and scores of players after a game has taken place, which can fuck you out of a reward, which is nice. Back onto the scoring matrix then, I'd say avoid midfielders who typically play out wide. These players are less likely to get high all-around scores due to being away from the action more often, meaning they're making less tackles, less key passes. They may be slightly more likely than central midfielders to get decisive, but overall, the benefits of that probably do not outweigh the typically poor all-around scores. In terms of forwards, they often don't score brilliantly when it comes to all-around scores, so you're going to want to go strong here and get a top-end forward who scores lots of goals and chips in with assists more often than not. Now, wingers also count as forwards. Top-end wingers can do fairly decently in the all-around score bracket if they are often the focal point of dribbling for their team. They will enter the opposing box more often, get fouled more often, and they can still pick up decisives here and there, so don't rule out using the better wingers in your forward spot as well. Now tip 86, always consider stacking up players from teams that will be competing in the European competitions, such as the Champions, Europa or Conference League. A player in a team that can go on a deep run in the European competitions can easily get an extra 6 games of utility from the group stages alone, let alone any additional knockout stage matches. And then a similar thought process with the international fixtures. I'm going to be honest, internationals are typically really fucking boring for me, as I've never had a team for them, but certain players can have increased value and utility based around their presence for their international team as well, so definitely another thing to factor into your purchases and lineups for sure. And regarding utility, just pay attention to the fact certain leagues play less games than others. For example, the Austrian League only has a 32 game season, whereas the Championship in England has a 46 game season. So like, I'm not a math cunt or anything, that's got to be at least 35% more utility in terms of games. Tip 89, something I've experienced firsthand. I tried to peak too early and flew too close to the sun, and by that I mean I tried to move up from All-Star Rare Division 4 to All-Star Pro at Division 3 when I was way out of my depth tactically and financially, so yeah, don't do that. I would say only look to progress and move up the brackets when you truly have the budget and game plan to put a change like that into action, especially when it comes to super rares and uniques. The lower end super rares and uniques have a lot less utility to allow you to be competitive at those SO5 levels. Better to be a big fish in a small pond than vice versa. Again, only a metaphor. Be careful around large areas of water. You are not a fish, and yeah, you could drown, so don't. And my final and most important strategy tip of the video. Have fun out there. What? Why are you booing me? It's a legitimate tip. How to baseball! Yeah, I don't know how to baseball, but it's there. Sorare did a baseball thing, so, you know, I don't know. Maybe become a baseball person? How to miscellaneous! You will get messaged on Discord saying you've won an Mbappe or you've won some Ethereum in a raffle. Yeah, it's fake news, bro. You haven't won shit. You're not that lucky. Don't click those links or you will die. Twitter is also full of Sorare giveaways. I mean, honestly, they're fucking endless on my timeline, but, you know, they're there. And some of them are probably legit. I mean, I've never won one, but hopefully what I have won is your hearts. Tip 95, check out other third-party apps built around Sorare such as Sorare Mega or Sorare Brag. They can be fun and you can meet cool Sorare people through these avenues. Now this one goes without saying, but only spend what you can afford to lose. Well, I don't think Sorare will go the way of Football Index anytime soon. I'm actually wearing a shirt sponsored by Football Index right now, so that's pretty bad from me. Fuck you, Football Index. Dicks. But basically, any money you put into this shit, you should essentially anticipate losing it in some respects. It allows you to play the game much more freely and with less financial obligation attached to the product, so it is certainly not a cheat code to getting rich despite what anyone's told you, but you can have fun and make some profit if it all goes swimmingly for you, so yeah, just don't go fucking crazy. Tip 97, just remember as well, everyone you are trading with or communicating with on Sorare is probably going to be looking out in their own best interest, so don't take everything you hear as gospel, from myself included. But then again, also remember there are real people behind all these other manager profiles, so treat everyone with a bit of kindness and respect. Let's spread love, not war. You know, unless they're scamming little shits, in which case, fuck them. Tip 99, get the Sorare app, they have an iOS app which is nice. And finally, the biggest tip of all, I've saved the best till last. Make sure you smash that like and subscribe button, everyone. There you go. If you sat through all of that, then fair play. You're a verified G. And if you didn't sit through all of that, then, well, you won't be around to hear what I'm saying right now. But it's okay, because I still love you. This will be the last Sorare tips and tricks video I ever do. Not really my content, to be honest, but I thought, you know what? If I'm going to make one last video, I'm going to do it in a blaze of fucking glory, an assortment of all of the Sorare tips I have to offer. But hey, stick around for the other Sorare content that I produce. I mean, you don't have to, it's your life after all, but I'd like it if you did. In any case, I will catch you next time.